Welcome to Mastering Mystical Mysteries, where AI meets the ancient wisdom of esoteric literature. In each episode, we explore spiritual and occult books, revealing hidden truths through advanced AI analysis. Whether you are a seasoned seeker or simply curious about the mystical, we uncover knowledge from across the world's traditions. Today, we are diving into another thought-provoking text filled with spiritual insight and occult wisdom. If you enjoy our journey into the unknown, please remember to subscribe, comment, and like to stay connected with future revelations. Let us begin.
Hey everyone, and welcome to a deep dive that promises to be anything but boring.
Oh, yeah.
We're cracking open James Allen's From Poverty to Power,
Yes.
a book that's less about chasing riches and more about unlocking that incredible potential within you.
Right.
Think of it as a guide to rewiring your mindset for a life that's richer in every sense of the word.
And what's really interesting is how Alan just cuts straight to the chase.
Yeah.
He doesn't waste time, telling you to be happy. Instead, he points out how many of us are stuck chasing fleeting pleasures,
Yeah.
always seeking satisfaction in temporary highs.
Right.
It's like we're addicted to the quick fix instead of going for lasting fulfillment.
Yeah, he compares those chasing fleeting happiness to the drunkard and the harlot, which, whoa, strong language, right? But it makes you wonder, are our attempts to find peace in things like fancy stuff or excessive indulgence, are we just masking what's really going on inside?
That's precisely the point Alan wants you to consider. He challenges you to shift your focus from fleeting happiness to true understanding.
Okay.
Instead of praying for our problems to just disappear,
Yeah.
he suggests we examine the very nature of what holds us back. He calls this evil, but not in the traditional sense.
Right.
He's talking about the ignorance we harbor within ourselves.
Okay, so evil here equals ignorance, but how do we even begin to tackle that? That feels kind of huge and abstract, you know?
Yeah, think of it like this. Imagine a child who hasn't yet learned that fire is hot.
Okay.
They're fascinated by the flame, drawn to its warmth and light. It's only when they get burned that they truly understand.
Yeah.
We often do the same thing in life. We chase after things that harm us, unaware of their true nature until we've been burned.
So it's about learning from our experiences, both the good and the bad.
Yeah.
But how do we stop repeating those same mistakes? It's easy to say, learn from it, but sometimes it feels like we're hardwired to keep messing up.
Alan would say it's about aligning ourselves with what he calls the law of cause and effect.
Okay.
It's not just our actions that have consequences, but our thoughts too.
Right.
Every thought sends out a specific vibration, and like attracts like. So if you're constantly dwelling on negativity, you're more likely to attract more negativity into your life.
Wait, so you're saying our thoughts actually have a measurable impact on our reality? That sounds a little woo-woo, doesn't it?
I get it. It can sound far out there.
Yeah.
But think about it. Our thoughts directly influence how we perceive the world. If you're constantly expecting the worst, you're more likely to interpret events in a negative light, even if someone else sees them as neutral or even positive. It's like two people looking at the same muddy pond.
Okay. Yeah.
One sees a breeding ground for disease, the other sees a thriving ecosystem full of life.
Okay, that makes sense. So by changing our thoughts, are we really changing the world around us or just how we experience it?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Alan argues that our mental state has a direct impact on our reality. Of course, external events happen, but it's our interpretation of them, colored by our thoughts, that determines how we react and what we attract into our lives.
So how do we break free from those negative spirals, those self-sabotaging thought patterns that keep us stuck?
Yeah.
Is it just a matter of slapping on a happy face and pretending everything is fine?
Not at all. It's about becoming aware of those negative thought patterns and understanding their root cause. Alan compares negative emotions to fire. Both can cause pain. Just as you wouldn't intentionally hold your hand over a flame, you wouldn't consciously choose to dwell on negative thoughts, once you understand how destructive they could be.
Okay, that makes sense. But what about those times when we're in a genuinely tough spot? Like a dead-end job, a toxic relationship, or just feeling incredibly stuck?
That's where Alan's advice might surprise you. He actually cautions against just trying to escape from those situations.
Really?
He believes it's more powerful to focus on making the best of your current circumstances.
Wait, really? Why not just try to get out of a bad situation as quickly as possible?
Because, he argues, it's about embodying the change you want to see in your life. It's like proving to yourself and to the universe that you're ready for better. Instead of being consumed by the desire to escape, You're using your current situation as a training ground for growth.
So it's not about ignoring the bad, but transforming it.
Exactly. It's like taking a cramped, messy cottage and turning it into a cozy, inviting haven. You're not denying the limitations of the cottage, but you're showing that you're ready for something more by creating beauty and order within the space you have.
That's a really cool way to look at it. So instead of focusing on what we don't want, we should focus on making the most of what we do have, and in the process, become a magnet for even better things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing that even challenging experiences can hold valuable lessons and opportunities for growth. By shifting our focus from getting out to growing up, we empower ourselves to create positive change from within, regardless of our external circumstances.
You know, one thing that really struck me about Alan's approach is how he connects our inner world to our physical health.
Yeah.
It's like he's saying that true well-being isn't just about, eating your veggies and hitting the gym. It's about creating inner harmony as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Alan was ahead of his time in recognizing that mind-body connection. He argues that our thoughts and emotions have a direct impact on our physical well-being, an idea that's gaining more and more scientific validation today. Think about the placebo effect, for example.
Right.
It demonstrates the incredible power of our beliefs to influence our physical experiences.
That reminds me of the story Alan tells about the man who dreams of a magical healing pool.
Oh, yeah?
He finally finds it, but there's a word inscribed above it, renounce.
Right.
Initially, I thought that was a bit on the nose, like, should we all just start writing health on our bathroom mirrors and hoping for the best? But now I see it as a powerful metaphor for the things we need to let go of in order to experience true well-being.
Exactly. It's not about the literal interpretations, but about understanding the underlying message. What are the harmful habits, limiting beliefs, or negative emotions you need to renounce in order to create space for health and vitality in your life? It could be anything from self-criticism and worry to unhealthy eating habits or a sedentary lifestyle.
So it's about taking responsibility for our well-being, recognizing that we have more control than we might think. But how do we actually cultivate that inner strength and resilience? Life can feel pretty overwhelming sometimes.
That's where Alan's emphasis on faith comes in.
Okay.
And he's not just talking about faith in a higher power, but faith in yourself, faith in the laws of the universe, faith in the inherent goodness of life itself.
It's interesting that he uses the word faith because it's often associated with religion. But Alan's approach feels more like a universal principle. It's about trusting that if you align your thoughts, beliefs, and actions with your aspirations, the universe will conspire to support you.
Exactly. He tells the story of a woman who seems to effortlessly manifest her desires.
Yeah.
And it's not because she's lucky or has some, special power.
Yeah.
It's because she's done the inner work, cultivated unwavering faith in herself and her vision, and then aligned her actions accordingly. It's about trusting that the universe is inherently abundant and supportive, and that when we get out of our own way, amazing things can happen.
It's like that saying, leap and the net will appear.
Precisely. Now, cultivating that level of trust and alignment doesn't mean we'll never face challenges or setbacks.
Right.
In fact, Alan argues that crisis reveals true character.
Mm-hmm.
He says that those who abandon peace and love when things get tough, they never truly embody them in the first place.
It's a sobering thought, isn't it? It's easy to be loving and compassionate when everything's going our way. But what happens when we're faced with adversity? Do we rise to the occasion, or do we crumble under pressure?
It's a powerful invitation to reflect on our own responses to challenges. How can we embody those qualities of love, peace, and resilience even when things get tough?
Yeah.
How can we become a source of strength and support for ourselves and others, even amidst chaos and uncertainty?
So it's not about becoming immune to difficult emotions or pretending that everything's always okay.
Right.
It's about developing that inner fortitude that allows us to weather the storms of life without losing ourselves in the process.
Exactly. Alan uses the analogy of a mountain. It possesses power and stability because it's deeply rooted and unshakable, even in the face of strong winds and torrential rain. We cultivate that same inner strength by developing the capacity to observe our emotions without being swept away by them.
It's about becoming the calm in the center of the storm rather than being tossed around by every gust of wind.
Precisely. And that's where practices like meditation and mindfulness can be incredibly helpful. They train our minds to become more aware of our thoughts and emotions, to observe them without judgment, and to choose our responses more consciously.
So it's about training our minds like we train our bodies, building mental muscle through consistent practice and discipline. But Alan also emphasizes that true power isn't about brute force or domination. He criticizes those who chase fleeting amusement and external validation instead of cultivating lasting influence through service and love.
That's one of the things I find most inspiring about Alan's work.
Yeah.
His emphasis on service as the highest expression of love.
Okay.
He argues that true fulfillment comes not from focusing on our own needs and desires, but from dedicating ourselves to something larger than ourselves.
He even goes as far as to use examples of saints, sages, and saviors,
Yeah.
people who dedicated their lives to serving humanity. Is he suggesting that we all need to become selfless martyrs to achieve true happiness?
Not necessarily. While he admires those who dedicate their lives to service, I think Alan recognizes that not everyone is called to that path. He's saying that we can all incorporate the spirit of service into our everyday lives, regardless of our circumstances.
So how do we actually do that? It's easy to get caught up in our own little bubbles and forget about the bigger picture.
It starts with shifting our focus from what's in it for me to how can I make a positive impact.
Okay.
It's about looking for opportunities to contribute to something larger than ourselves, whether it's our families, our communities, or the world at large.
So we've been diving deep into James Allen's From Poverty to Power, and
Yeah.
one of the biggest takeaways for me is this idea that we're not just passive passengers in life, we're active creators of our own reality.
Absolutely. Alan is essentially handing us the reins and saying, you are the architect of your experience. You have the power to shape your thoughts, your beliefs, and ultimately your destiny.
It's empowering and a little daunting at the same time, right? But he
Yeah.
doesn't just leave us hanging with these lofty ideas.
Right.
He offers, practical tools and techniques for putting these principles into action.
Exactly. One of the most powerful tools he emphasizes is meditation. Now, before you picture sitting cross-legged on a mountaintop, trying to empty your mind,
Right, yeah.
remember that meditation is simply about directing your thoughts.
Okay.
It's about consciously choosing what seeds you want to plant in the garden of your mind.
I love that analogy. So instead of letting our minds be overrun with weeds of worry, self-doubt, and negativity, we can choose to cultivate a more beautiful and bountiful inner landscape.
Precisely. Start by taking just a few minutes each day to sit quietly and focus on those qualities you want to embody: peace, love, courage, creativity, whatever resonates with you. Don't get discouraged if your mind wanders. It's natural. Gently guide it back to your chosen focus, and over time you'll find it becomes easier to quiet the mental chatter and cultivate a more peaceful and focused state of mind.
It's like building mental muscle, right? The more we practice, the stronger we become.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And just like physical exercise, consistency is key. Even a few minutes of daily meditation can have a profound impact on your overall well-being. Now, in addition to meditation, Alan also emphasizes the importance of self-reflection. And I'm not talking about staring in the mirror and reciting affirmations, although there's nothing wrong with a little self-love boost.
Right. So what does effective self-reflection look like?
Think of it as a compassionate but honest self-assessment. Regularly take time to check in with yourself and ask, what are my dominant thoughts? Are they aligned with the kind of person I want to be, the kind of life I want to create? What are my strengths? Where do I tend to get stuck? What limiting beliefs might be holding me back?
It's like taking inventory of our inner world, identifying areas for growth, and recognizing the resources we already have at our disposal.
Exactly. And once you've identified those areas for growth, the next step is to align your actions with your aspirations.
Okay.
It's not enough to just think positive thoughts.
Yeah.
You have to put those thoughts into practice.
It's about walking the talk, right?
Precisely. If you aspire to be more compassionate, look for opportunities to express kindness and understanding in your daily interactions. If you want to cultivate more courage, take small but consistent steps outside your comfort zone.
So it's about bridging the gap between intention and action, recognizing that every choice we make, no matter how small, is an opportunity to move closer to the life we want to create.
Exactly. And remember, transformation isn't a destination, it's a journey.
Right.
There will be ups and downs, challenges and setbacks.
Of course.
The key is to embrace the process with patience, self-compassion, and an unwavering belief in your own potential.
Alan reminds us that we're not striving for perfection, but for progress.
And that's what makes this journey so exciting. It's about constantly learning, growing, and evolving, becoming the best versions of ourselves. One thought, one choice, one action at a time.
Well, there you have it, our deep dive into James Allen's From Poverty to Power. It's a timeless guide to unlocking that extraordinary potential that resides within each of us. It's a call to action, to step into our power, to embrace that transformative journey of self-discovery and to create a life that not only reflects our highest aspirations, but also makes a positive impact on the world around us.
And with that, we leave you with this question. What resonated most with YU from this deep dive? What small step can you take today to apply these principles in your own life? Remember, even the smallest actions taken consistently can create extraordinary results. Until next time, keep exploring, keep growing, and keep seeking the extraordinary within the ordinary.